Good afternoon, and welcome to the third month of American quarantine. I am happy that you are here with me. It is a beautiful spring day, and I hope that you have had a chance to get outdoors, regardless of what the news may be trying to convince you of otherwise. A lot has changed since we last met, and boy, don't you look different. Here are some of the things that you may have realized on your own, in your own time, over the last few months. Things that perhaps will unite us as humans. See if any of them apply to you. One or many, or perhaps none. You've forgotten what day it is. You get up, and the first thing you do is look at your phone and look at the news. But you've forgotten what day it is. Sanitizer is now harder to keep on the shelf than food, so is toilet paper, depending on where you're from and what time of day you go to the market. You have gotten to finish those home projects that you've been putting off for the weekend, or when you have a chance. All of a sudden, you have a chance. A lot of chances. A whole lot of chances. You or someone else will take themselves or yourself off the sidewalk as another person approaches and they are not wearing a mask, whether they're jogging, even if they're riding a bike. You tell yourself, I cannot be in the same proximity as this other person, for I may catch this invisible enemy. I'm sure by now you've witnessed this fear inside of people. Fear in people that you never thought you would see fear in, wherever you go, in supermarkets, in public, at work, those of you who still have a job and are working. This fear that is now part of your everyday life, whether you are on the left or on the right, their main job right now is to make you scared. At what point will you say, enough? Enough. As we hear the sounds of public transportation pass outside my window, let us continue. You realize that you do not need so much time alone. Even if you told yourself, I am an introvert, I am of this type of personality, you now realize that all that time alone, you do need it, but not as much as you thought you did. I'm sure you've realized that by now. Maybe you haven't. Convince me otherwise. You've discovered many ways to give someone who is not wearing a mask a dirty look, waiting for them to cough. Perhaps their mask is hanging from their noses and not covering their mouth. Perhaps the mask is covering their mouth and not their noses. Perhaps it's just thrown around their neck like a prop. But any one of these things will trigger a reaction from you where they didn't 3 months ago. Has something changed? Where have we been? You have realized also that your leaders are not experiencing any hardships, but they control how many hardships you will encounter and how long you will remain unable to fight for your way of life. Just notice. Take it in. Breathe in all this good air that they've convinced you that is now bad for you. Breathe it in. Excuse me. You have also realized, some of you may have realized now, that lawyers are now more important than your need to earn money. Lawyers, or people's fear of getting sued, perhaps politicians, perhaps employers, have decided they don't want to get sued, so they don't want to rush back to work because of people contracting this invisible enemy. You will also notice that binging on Netflix is also a thing. You may have finished your 3 or 4 seasons of whatever show, or perhaps just one season, that leaves you thinking, when is the next episode going to be ready for me to binge on? But you have realized that from one episode to the other, it's just literally about 7 seconds before you even have a chance to think whether you have to use the bathroom, consume some of that toilet paper that you don't have because you couldn't pick it up at the supermarket. And it gives you little time to think or even rest up. The same kind of strategy occupied by your local and national media. Just an observation. You may have realized this also. You have also realized that over these last few months that your dreams are becoming more vivid and your fears more illustrative. Maybe it's because you have more time, or the illusion of more time. Maybe it's because you don't know when you'll head back to work. Maybe it's because they've convinced you that your job is not essential. Maybe it's because you're working from home and you not used to the concept that being home is still receiving a paycheck, and just telecommuting to work through a Zoom application is not enough to warrant you as a needed worker, and you worry about that job. Maybe that's what your dream is trying to tell you. Maybe your dream is trying to tell you that there's something else happening here, and it ain't exactly clear. Who knows where that's from? By now you have realized that your job may be non-essential. In other words, someone has decided for you that you don't have the right to make money, whether you have a covered face or whether you do. You don't. You have also now realized that the Tiger King is anything but boring. You have also realized that New York City, as luxurious as it's presented in movies and as a great place that it is to visit, if you haven't gone to New York City, you should visit at least once in your life. Live there for a short time. But by now you have realized that New York City is one big experiment, and its citizens are the test subjects before it's tried on everyone else, whatever that thing is. You may have also realized that your home can serve as a prison with your own God, with your own set of instructions, with your own news shackles. You have also realized, perhaps, that celebrity culture is not your reality, whether it's one celebrity doing backflips into their Olympic-sized pool and complaining about being isolated and the tortures of it, or whether it's a news broadcaster coming out of his basement about the size of a one-bedroom apartment claiming that it's terrible for them down there because it's so much like actual suffering in the house of the size of a mansion and the basement in the size of a one-bedroom apartment. celebrity culture, you may have realized that it's not your own. You have also realized, perhaps, how much soap your hands could stand before you convince yourself that it is clean and you are safe from disease. You may have also realized that it is not fruitful to follow your passion, but instead follow the money and where it is in all of its locations. You may have also realized that the term medical expert is a cover-up term for you fill in the blank. You may have also realized now at this time where joblessness is going up that college is optional, and the disdain that was had towards people that never went to college or people that were considered non-educated was in fact incorrect. But you have also discovered that people are finding more and more ways to make their life happen in this moment. More and more creative ways to sustain life. There's some beauty in this time. You may have also realized that your mental stability is not the job of your local and national media, and therefore they will treat it, your mental stability, they will treat it as if it was something optional, as something that they can care nothing about because they keep pinging into your notifications on your phone, on your tablets, on your computers, everywhere, because they just don't care about your mental stability. As you see, they're already transitioning out of this period of quarantine, the new cycle is, and now more into people against people themes revolving around race. It's all about keeping you in fear and money out of your pocket for control. You may have realized that, maybe. You may have also realized how little you walked today. You may have just woken up at an irregular time for you and your profession. You may have also realized that you are afraid to go outside, or you are waiting for a weekend for something that you can do right now, even if your schedule has shifted. You may have also realized that when you're out in public, people have become friendlier and other people have become elusive. You may have noticed that. You have also realized, or perhaps you haven't, but if you look on social media, everyone has become a nature photographer, meaning that everyone has gone back to the origin of things, back to nature, a focus on the one thing that perhaps can bring you peace, the one thing that perhaps you were distracted from 3 months ago. It's a good thing to see. Everyone has become an amateur photographer. Those of you in relationships or who are seeking relationships, you may have realized that he wasn't that bad after all. Now you have more time to think on things that weren't as egregious as once thought. You may have also realized that you don't mind paying that extra delivery fee for food, for entertainment, for whatever it is, a product from Amazon, just because it is the one joy that you still have in your life, the one thing you still have control over. And it's the one thing that has made quarantine a little easier for some of you. You may have realized that. It's about combining experiences. You might have realized that your spouse really gets on your nerves, or if you're quarantining with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they really get on your nerves. You may have realized that without work as a divider from morning to afternoon, or afternoon to later on in the third shift, you might realize that they're really getting on your nerves without work as a divider. Now you can see it clearly. You may have also realized, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that your child's school gives them way too much work, and that time outside has been restricted. And now you also understand what some of your teachers go through, or why your child may not be connected to their lessons. Great time for learning and observing. You have also realized, perhaps, that the media wants us to hate each other for being a man, for being a woman, for being of this race, for being of the other race, for being of this ethnicity, or being of that ethnicity, for being rich, for not being so rich. They play their game masterfully. You may have also noticed that gun shops are open, but all the good stuff is on back order. You may have also realized that your plans for spring were just plans. They have changed, they have altered, but you still can get out there. You still can make the best of it. You may have romanticized something, whether it's doing the same thing every day, whether it's walking in the woods every day, whether it's driving someplace every day. Bring meaning to that thing that brings you meaning, that gives you a purpose to get out of bed. Perhaps is a 5-minute jog in the morning, but do it enough so other areas of your life can take proper positive shape. You may have also learned to cook, and in that you might have also learned how to open the window to let the smoke out of the things you've attempted to make and burned. You may have also realized that your neighbors don't mind the smoke that gets into their apartment if you are a good neighbor. You may have also realized that you've heard from people that you did not plan to hear from again. You did not think they would ever resurface, but in comes the text, in comes the phone call, and there they are, present in your life again. How things change in a matter of months. You may have also realized that you sold things that you did not need in the first place. Go to any marketplace or online selling website, whether it's eBay or Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. People are selling things that you could tell are new and they did not need. Whether it's their house or the electric guitar that they didn't need, that they bought for $500 just because they saw Slash using it. People are selling things left and right. Some of you may have also realized that you don't like working, that you prefer the comfort of receiving a paycheck rather than having to get up every day, wasting gas, looking for work, or being employed at a rate that you don't like. This is also true. But please don't get in the habit of just waiting to get. This will age you and stress you out faster, for some of you, for most of you, than feeling like you're contributing to life. You may have also realized that anyone could be labeled a hero, even if you're just doing what you have been paid to do. You have also realized that you may be afraid, even if you don't want to admit it to your loved ones. And the main reason you are afraid is because you are listening to people around you who are afraid and not listening, not observing, listening too much, observing too little, too much noise, too little silence. You may have noticed that. You may have also wondered what else you can sell for money that doesn't compromise the things you believe in. You may have also realized that you don't want your gyms online every day at noon or at 3 p.m. or at 6 p.m. to get your daily workouts. As convenient as it is, it's not the proper gym setting. You may have also realized that you have a craving to watch films dealing with epidemics, pandemics, and other end-of-the-world scenario movies or natural disaster movies, fantasy, sci-fi, or otherwise, during this period of time. Where does that come from? You've reread comments in comment sections over videos that just automatically appear out of nowhere, videos that are recommended to you by Facebook, prank videos, YouTube videos, and you spend a lot of time in the comment section trying to find something that you can relate to. Because when you go outside, all you see is fear. And somehow people have found their voice in anonymity. And that brings you joy. But above all, you have probably realized that our greatest resource throughout this period of time, which will go down in history, however long it lasts, that people are our number one resource. You can imitate us, but you cannot replace us. Go in clarity and not fear. See you soon.